Respected viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by City Clock, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. Our major stories: right away, civil society activists in Cameroon as well as journalists are against the repression of journalists and journalism in Cameroon. They insist that journalists should be able to carry out their jobs professionally. And also in this newscast, we take you to Qatar, where Cameroonians who are already present in Qatar are excited and can't wait to support their national team, which is taking part in the World Cup competition in Qatar. Those are our major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. We begin with these reports on repression of journalists or journalism in Cameroon. The Minister for Territorial Administration and Decentralization once again is attempting another attack on Equinoxe radio and television. The minister, in his attempt, is attacking a statement made by guests on the platform of Search Alengotu, precisely that was on Equinoxe. Let's now have more with, for me, Armstrong Sander.
Of time, space and context, we move back to November the 6th, 2022 for Equinoxe Television's flagship program, Equinoxe Soir. Njebel Lubon-Dachwa, militant of the opposition Cameroon Renaissance Movement's political party, is one of the guests analyzing the 40 years of President Paul Biya at the helm of Cameroon.
Quand on veut être excessif et les propos ne sont pas de moi, je vais les répéter en les mettant entre les guillemets. Et ça n'engage pas votre plateau, M. Serge Alengotu. Je dis, c'est pas de moi, je vais les mettre entre guillemets. Que M. Biya est l'une des malchances que le Cameroun ait connues. Quand on le dit, c'est parce que nous souffrons dans notre chair.
Few hours later, news outlets in Cameroon are inundated with what others have qualified as the new Equinoxe affair. The story arrives on social media that Paul Atanganji, Cameroon's Territorial Administration Minister, wants to arrest seasoned journalist Serge Alain Otu of Equinoxe Television. Becomes an open secret. It is published by Cameroonian journalist and whistleblower Boris Berthold. The information on ambush and secret is revealed to the Cameroonian people. It quickly embraces news outlets. It doesn't take long, and the correspondence from the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, instructing the governor of the Littoral region to carry out an operation to arrest the journalist, becomes public. Cameroon and Cameroonians are taken aback with yet another attempt on Serge Alain Otu, refined journalist and a major phase of the Cameroonian audiovisual landscape. And Njebel Lubon-Dachwa, militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party. At the level of Douala, authorities refused to dance to the Tintin maneuver and opted for skepticism and a continuously peaceful evolution of affairs, rightfully on the general interests of the Cameroonian people, of course. However, another way is quickly found. On Monday, November the 14th, 2022, the National Communications Council bowed into the downs, filing a summon in Douala at the television's headquarters, inviting the chairman and chief executive officer of the Equinoxe Media Group, Severin Chunke, and Serge Alain Otu for questioning in Yaoundé. Curiosity number one, the summon is served at 9 a.m., asking the two media men to be heard in Yaoundé at 11 a.m. same day, November 14th, 2022. The formula is then found to get hold of the journalists accused of being close to the CRM, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party. Of course, if not, how then do you understand that a comment made by a guest who goes ahead to take full responsibility is being placed on the journalist? Questions rights defenders and civil society actors. Only one answer remains, and is included in the approach that supports this operation. It is contained in the correspondence of Minister Paula Tanganji instructing the shelving of journalists. Arguments found to do so, the journalist will be against the government as well as the television channel which employs him. The correspondence of the Cameroonian Minister of Territorial Administration invokes remarks made by Angel Belobon Dacho, guests of the program Equinoxe, broadcast on the private television channel Equinoxe Television, during the program devoted to the assessment of the 40 years of the power of President Paul Biya of the Republic of Cameroon.
You mentioned it right for me. Some civil society actors in Cameroon and also journalists are against what they term repression of journalists and journalism in Cameroon. They insist that journalists must be able to express themselves freely as they go about their jobs. Our reporter Immaculate Fogwe spoke with some civil society actors. She puts together this report for the news.
Cameroon's constitution guarantees freedom of expression.
I think our preamble talks of the fact that our constitution is enshrined based on the fundamental, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is true in as much as the National Communication Council is the regulatory board or the regulatory organ. It goes without saying that if sanctions have to be meted, the sanctions will certainly come from them.
However, some government officials exhibit intolerance for critical media houses. It is observed that some journalists are subjected to various human rights violations aimed at hindering them from performing their duties. Speaking to some civil society actors, they say press freedom is far-fetched within a Cameroonian context. Analyzing the correspondence from the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji, instructing the governor of the Littoral region to sanction Equinoxe TV journalist Serge Alain Otou over the utterances made by his guest, the actors say it is way beyond his competence to give such orders. We have nothing against the minister, but we cannot refuse to admit that he is not competent to take such a decision. He is not the president of the National Communication Council. It is regrettable. The minister's recurrent attack on journalists of Equinoxe TV shows an image of a country that is turning its back on democracy. Since his appointment as minister, he has been fighting hard against press freedom. He just gets up and thinks he can jeopardize press freedom. Also, Professor Maurice Kamto, reacting in a tweet, says he is aware of the situation and condemns the repression of journalists. Journalists play an important role in promoting and facilitating the right to freedom of expression. To promote this effectively, they should be free to perform their duties without fear of reprisals, intimidation, or harassment of any sort.
We now take you to Bamenda in the northwest region of the country, where students of a government or a public school went on a rampage after alleged military brutality. Our reporter Innocent Azek comes back to that story, which almost turned bloody.
Down. Administrative documents littered on the campus of Government Technical High School Quen in Bamenda 3 subdivision Thursday morning by a group of students who reportedly went on rampage as a security officer on campus mercilessly beat up their mate and friend. Other equipment were also destroyed. The tense situation at about 8 a.m. prompted the administration of Government Technical High School Quen to ask all students to return home for the day, a decision which enabled calm to reign. In a communique signed by the senior divisional officer for the Mezam division, Simon Emile Moore, no student was shot and killed or injured by the concerned security officer as it was spread on social media. According to Simon Emile Moore, preliminary investigations established that a student, Gong Divine, arrived on campus November 17 on chems and looking drugged. He was stopped by the discipline master from entering the campus. Divine suddenly became very aggressive and rude. This pushed one of the security officers on duty to intervene and subdue the student. It is at this juncture that Divine's friends, allegedly drugged and who are not students, first entered the campus, causing enormous destruction. According to the senior administrative officer, the student in question came to self-realization and apologized to the principal, the staff and other students. The SGO notes conservatory measures have been taken against the said security officer, while in-depth investigations are on course. He as well calls on all the educational community and students to remain calm, disciplined, and committed to their studies.
And now we talk health. Do you know children are also infected by diabetes? The answer is yes, it does. Diabetes also affects children or infects children. Statistics from the Ministry of Public Health indicate that at least 1,000 cases of diabetes in children are reported in hospitals yearly. Let's now have more with our staff lady Lucille Yengu Esie.
Side of the type 2 diabetes, which is often seen in adults, the diagnosis of type 1 diabetes in children recently is overwhelming. According to medics, children in Africa, like in Cameroon, are now exposed to the type 1 diabetes. If your child stopped bedwetting and starts all over again, it is a sign of the type 1 diabetes. At the same time, if this child gets so tired, he or she cannot eat, at some point in time, start having abdominal problems, it means he or she is already in an advanced state of the disease. Type 1 diabetes in children is a condition in which the child's body no longer produces an important hormone known as insulin. An autoimmune disorder, Dr. Jean-Louis Nguewa says it is favored by genetics. If the child has lost his or her insulin, in this case we have to bring the insulin from an external source, because no one can stay without having an insulin in the body. It helps to fight against complications. Endocrinologists advise parents to place their kids on an insulin-resistant diet. Medical practitioners also say type 1 diabetes should be treated with caution to avoid kidney failure, heart disease, and eye problems.
Il serait vraiment dommage qu'un enfant à l'âge.
It is really bad for a child who is still very young, that is 20 to 25 years, to start having signs of side problems which might never be reversed. Or maybe he or she starts having respiratory issues. Statistics from the Minister of Public Health reveal that every year in Cameroon, about 1,000 children and youth aged 20 to 25 are victims of type 1 diabetes.
And coming back to the Serge Alain Otu affair, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement has condemned the repression of journalists in Cameroon. They are demanding that the charges against Serge Alain Otu and his guests are unfounded and must be dropped. Let's now have more with our staffman Babila Jonathan.
The Cameroon Renaissance Movement (CRM) political party accuses the Minister of Territorial Administration and the Cameroon government as a whole of hating and targeting the party. According to Professor Kamto's party, the threat on a militant and official of the party, Angilbert Lebon Dachouan, is intended to give the impression that the CRM is a lawless party that wants to provoke social unrest in Cameroon. A statement from the party goes further to precise that Angilbert Lebon Dachouan neither insulted the head of state nor attacked state institutions as said by Minister Tanganji Paul, but simply quoted a phrase that has featured in several print and audiovisual reports and programs recently without any reaction from government. The Territorial Administration Minister says the phrase, I quote, Mr. Bia is one of the unfortunate things that have happened to Cameroon, end of quote, made by Angilbert Lebon Dachouan in the program Equinoxe, is defamatory, an insult against the head of state and an attack on state institutions. To the CRM, Minister Tanganji's interpretation of that phrase is not motivated by his desire to protect the head of state, but rather a clear illustration of his hatred for the CRM party and freedom of opinion. Within the lines of the minister's threat against Angilbert Lebon Dachouan Equinoxe TV and Radio's Director of Programs and presenter of Equinoxe, Serge Alain Otto, an Equinoxe media conglomerate, the CRM party reads an ill intention. The party says the regime wants to take the country back to the dark days of our history, marked by gross violations of individual and collective civil and political rights, notably press freedom, freedom of expression and opinion, and even freedom of thought. The CRM condemns what it qualifies as misconduct of government authorities and violation of human rights and freedoms enshrined in national and international legal instruments signed and ratified by Cameroon. It urges the Cameroon government to respect the civil and political rights and the dignity of Cameroonians and to end all investigations ordered by Minister Tanganji Paul in connection to the phrase made by Angebel Le Bon Tachouan in Equinoxe.
And a special meeting for the realization of a second program on integrative projects by CEMAC reveals plans for the sub-region. Recently, a reporter, Glory Malatoros, that a special meeting for integrative project took place in Congo, Brazzaville. Her report.
The second program on the integrative project of the Economic and Monetary Community (CEMAC) to be introduced within the CEMAC sub-region has finally been reviewed. It was declared during a special meeting of the Technical Follow-up Committee for the realization of the project.
First, we have selected 16 projects. The technical working group would, during his meeting, will consider the feasibility of the project, technical documents submitted, then a plan to organize an international conference, like the conference that was organized 2 years ago under the chairmanship of the head of state of the Republic of Congo, His Excellency President Denis Sassou Nguesso.
This project is subdivided into 3 parts: the infrastructural development to facilitate transportation, the reinforcement energy production, and the promotion of central market for CEMAC member countries.
The document and the project will be submitted to the international community through an international conference organized either in Brussels or in Paris in the month of November, so November 2023.
The meeting held in Congo Brazzaville also permitted the participants to talk on the first integrative project in Central Africa.
Lors de la première phase,
during the first phase of the project, we identify 11 other integrative projects, and what we can make from the 11 projects today is that 70% are already in progress, and orientations have been given to the remaining 4.
Pour que ce projet soit achevé.
The technical committee of CEMAC believes that this project will bring forward lasting solutions while anticipating on infrastructure and human development.
And now in sports, we take you to Qatar. Cameroonians who are already in Qatar to support the indomitable Lions of Cameroon say they cannot wait to see their team go to victory. They are so convinced that the indomitable Lions of Cameroon will bring home the victory that would be by the end of the football jamboree in December. Our reporter, our special envoy in Qatar, Smart Njikan Gabriel, completes the story for us.
You're welcome to Qatar. This evening, we decided to meet up with some of the Cameroonians who are based here in Qatar. It has been a long day for these Cameroonians who are already mobilizing to welcome the indomitable Lions who will be arriving in Qatar definitely on Saturday. The Cameroonians based in Qatar have decided that this time around, with the indomitable Lions playing in Qatar, they will be behind the indomitable Lions right up to the end. It has been a demonstration in the town of Qatar this day. Remember, Samuel Etofi said they are going to play 7 matches, and the Cameroonians based in Qatar say they are going to be behind the indomitable Lions from the start to the end. With me is the Secretary General of Cameroonians based in Qatar. He is going to talk with us this evening. Hello, what is your name?
My name is Boba Bertrand.
Buba Bertrand.
Yes.
You are the Secretary General of Cameroonians based in Qatar.
Yes, exactly.
Now, what caused this mobilization this day?
Well, we want to let the authorities in Cameroon, we want to let FIFA, we want to let the world know that Cameroon is a lover of football. That's why we came to support Etofis, we came to support Song Bahana, and we came to support our country to make sure that the cup goes back to Cameroon.
All right, you say the cup goes back to Cameroon. Now, what is the special mobilization you're keeping for the Indomitable Lions? We know in some few hours they are supposed to be arriving in Qatar. What have you people planned? How are you people going to welcome him? The mobilization behind this?
As you must have seen, the same excitement that has been shown here is the same excitement that will be shown when the Lions will be coming. We have mobilized, we are going to actually meet them at the hotel and then take a tour with them, sing with them, support them, let them know that we are strongly behind them.
Do you believe that the Lions will carry home the World Cup for the first time? Do you believe, is it a dream or is it a dream that might be realized? Is it possible?
I think it's a dream that is going to come true, firstly because the management of the federation, that's FECAFOOT, is being headed by an expert. I mean, it's not a political, it's not headed by a political person, it's being headed by an expert. That's the first reason. And secondly, the choice of the team, the choice of Song Bahana gives me hope that we will definitely go back to Cameroon with the cup.
All right, this was the Secretary General of the Cameroonians based in Qatar. He is so confident that Cameroon will take back home the cup come the 18th of December. Reporting for Equinoxe Television News, live in Qatar, Carlos Minwe, Smart Nchikan Gabriel.
Thank you, Smart. We are also very hopeful down in Cameroon that the Cameroonian national team will bring back the trophy that should be in December, because with Cameroonians, nothing is impossible. Thank you so much, viewers, for always being there. That does it for the first part of the news. Don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. On Talking Points tonight, we will be receiving as our guest Reverend Father Christopher Gekum. He is a priest of the Archdiocese of Douala and also a moral educator. Today we'll be talking about tolerance and intolerance as well, because recently we observed the International Day for Tolerance, or International Tolerance Day. Father, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight. I'm going right away with my very first question. When we talk about tolerance, what do we mean?
Yeah, tolerance, first of all, is the acceptance or the ability to accept the existence of injustice or anything that is negative that you cannot hold, but you tolerate. First of all, like corruption in the society, or an enemy who is always after you, or in the family where you are giving in everything and the other person keeps looking for trouble. And a society full of injustice and indifference to people's ups and downs. And I think that it is very important in our society today, especially in our country, even in the church. Christians go through a lot of things that they cannot accept it a normal time, but because you want to let things go to continue your life, you tolerate and you go on. Especially an enemy in a working environment where you will find them putting, obstacle, talking and gossiping about you. You just tolerate you, and it doesn't go easy. With that type of person, those who tolerate in life, they are healers of humanity, and they go through a lot of things in this world where if you go into their lives, it will not be easy, and you need a capacity, to be like that, to tolerate, the society, because a lot of people die because they tolerate, and they keep and they go over, and these things are not easy to stand. And I want to say that in our country today, we tolerate a lot of things, plenty of us, especially those who are Christians, who are believers. You tolerate and tolerate, but there are others, it has a limit, and they will crack down and it will push them to other things. And that is why it is very important for us to advise those who continue to heap up a lot of obstacles and evil, who are at the cause of this particular vice, to be careful, because you are a killer in the society. You destroy people, and especially the personality of someone. They destroy your name, your dignity. It is very, very, very difficult, in the society for people like that. Working in this world as a priest, I go through a lot of difficulties to listen to people who tolerate, and the type of things they go through is not easy to stand.
And further, it is commonplace in our society to see Cameroonians throwing invectives around in relation to where or the region the other person is coming from. And also in the society, it's commonplace to see people expressing their frustration to one another in usual conversations. What can be some of the reasons behind these brutal utterances or brutal verbal utterances among Cameroonians?
You have to know that man is permanently wicked. The human being is too wicked. The book of Jeremiah chapter 17 from verse 5 to 10 clarifies that man's heart is so hardened, and only God alone can penetrate to change. And a lot of jealousy and racism, discrimination and wickedness that is eating the society, which says man is so jealous and wants to be the enemy of others. People are happy when you are down there and they are up. Pride has taken the place of the society. Human beings mean nothing to especially life to people today. We have noticed that when you abuse your brother, you are Anglophile or Francophile, it shows that we want to destroy the unity God brought to us. If you hate the other because he is this and that, in fact, you are hating yourself, because you don't even know who you are. And tomorrow, you will be able, you will not recognize yourself when you meet that person you insult. Because nature is so powerful. It puts that person you insulted, you mock at, to be, your leader, because you raise that person up. And those are the things, when you tolerate that type of person who tries to bring you down every time, tomorrow that person, the enemy, will make you survive and show to that person that because we are not, we didn't create ourselves. When you abuse your brother, you know that you make that person go through a lot of crisis. And a lot of people cannot stand that. That's why you find a lot of havoc in the society, vengeance in the society, witchcraft, and all sort of attacks that come back on us. Because the people who cannot stand, they go into depression. And you find them in hospital. When you go and find out why people are sick, you realize that they suffer a lot of rejection. They suffer a lot of havoc, and they are tolerated at the point where they can no longer stand. And maybe it will lead you to maraboutage, maybe it will lead you to a certain sect, and maybe it will lead you to avenge, and you do things that you cannot stand. Just look at a lot of economic crisis in our country and the wars that are happening. We are killing ourselves. Tell me how the children who see, because there are times that I have children when I'm handling children at Christmas who are from the war zone. You just ask them, what is it that you experience in times of the gun shooting? Children of 10 and 8 years, they will tell you how they saw a lot of havoc and they cannot bear. How can children be able to bear and tolerate those kind of things? Because they don't yet know. And as they grow up with hatred. Vengeance installs in the society, which we can no longer, change. And we beg God to help a lot of our leaders, especially our church leaders, especially in the country, to know that a lot of things are happening and that will not be able to let this country grow, because we are living in a hole where it is hot. People are dying of stress. People are dying of poverty. Sickness is torturing people. And a lot of people do not want anything good to happen to others. And this is a serious havoc.
Reverend Father Christopher Gekum talking about the work empowerment with all the stress of life and extra activities. How imperative is it to be tolerant?
You see, employees, some employees are capitalists. They torture those who work, for them, and they don't pay them on time. They use them as things. It is horrible. Even amongst workers, you realize that every worker is trying to become or to be big by using, evil ways to torture you and spoil your work. And such people in a work milieu, they can never bring prosperity to that kind of a company or in the state where they work, because they spend time planning evil. They spend time throwing words. They spend time, doing their own things. And even the master or the manager may go through a lot of havoc, because every time you correct a worker, he or she does the same thing. It's really hellfire, because it destroys a lot of families. It destroys economic growth, because people don't work, but they are fighting. Disunity, and so nothing can work, because that type of enterprise will always fall, because people are not focused on one direction. They are doing other things that can never work. And at the end of the month, the enterprise will not have the income to pay their workers. And consequently, it brings a lot of darkness.
And now, Father, how should people really interact with one another so as to be able to take other people's excesses?
Yes, in the Christian world, we teach a lot of people. We teach our Christians, and peoples who find themselves in a community of workers, because when you work together, you form a community, a force. It's a working force. When you tolerate others, because we come from different backings, we can never be the same. If we accept others, there will be prosperity, there will be health, there will be happiness, there will be riches, and you will learn a lot. Because without a genuine community of people who work together, nothing can work. In no society can disunity bring any force. There is no progress in division, but there is a lot of riches and happiness. The other realizes himself or herself in a community by living together. But there are some, you start giving yourself, they start using you as a fool. When you are humble, when you are hardworking, they will start cracking down on you to show that when you don't want to embezzle, when you don't want to steal, they start looking at you as a very bad person, as someone who brings, the downfall of an individual who was eating in a position. And that's where you will not be able to stand. But I want to say that it is good to be in a community where people work together, they have the same focus, to bring that enterprise or the country or the society to be.
Reverend Father Christopher Gekum, tolerance is a virtue, and you have been working, or you're presently working with thousands of youth and also women in the society. Just to remind our viewers that you are the youth chaplain of the Archdiocese of Douala, and also the chaplain of the Catholic Women Association, which encompasses thousands of women in Douala. They are all in the society. We might want to find out from you, who is a priest and a moral educator to so many people of various age groups. What are some of the teachings you usually disseminate?
It's a very great virtue in the sense that in this country, Cameroonians are tolerating a lot. If not, it would have been horrible. And the patience, if you don't have patience and humility and have conviction about yourself, that if you are not tolerant, you will be the first to fall. Because the person who is intolerant, or the person who is causing injustice, the one who is always causing havoc, that is the first person who will fall. But it is you who remains, tolerant, that will win, will triumph. Because I work with a lot of people in the society, and they come and tell you horrible things they go through. My patron is trying to do this to me. There's 3 months that I don't have my salary. I am working, and the type of salary I receive cannot even pay my transport. So I have to do a lot of things to meet up. And so those kind of people who are crying up to you, and they say, if you don't want, you let go. So this exploitation in the society is horrible. But I want to say that Cameroonians are going through a very special time of patience. To tolerate, you have to be patient. But if you don't, if you are the cause of it, you have to pay, because the nature is very, very just. Because nature will pay you what you deserve. Yes, once you are wicked, you know that you will receive wickedness. And that is justice, the justice of nature.
And now, in a religious point of view?
Yes, the Christian is that person who heals the society and who can pray, for those who are unjust, who does not tolerate, who causes a lot of havoc in the society. The Christian is that person who can calm things, and at the end, you will see prosperity, because they develop attitude like patience, they develop attitude like discernment, and they ask for God's wisdom and God's help to make me be able to go through this situation that I cannot stand. Because the Bible says, you shall not bear false witness. Vengeance is mine. Anybody, when you sow any seed, that is what you will harvest. So God pays back. The Christian understands that there are injustices in society because their Master Jesus Christ went through tolerance, supported the wicked, and even on the cross told the Father, forgive them, they don't know what they are doing. The Blessed Virgin Mary too went through such very serious persecutions, but she stood. That is a very serious virtue that you cannot replace by anything in this world. It only comes from God. It's only by the grace of God that you can tolerate. If God is not there, I tell you, bloodshed will fall, because there are wicked things in the society. But Christians are able to, a true Christian, not the one who goes to church. Because there are many fake Christians in the Catholic Church. There are many of them who cannot tolerate. Because when you tolerate, God purges your way. He delivers you. He purifies you. And He gives you the rightful direction. But if you think that it is bad luck, you will only continue to go into that bad luck. A Christian is positive, in these matters, the virtues. And I think that it is a wonderful virtue that we should ask for. It can only come from God, not from it.
Thank you, Father. For peace to reign in our society, we must be able to tolerate. Can you, in your last words, encourage our viewers more on the importance of tolerating one another?
Yes, if you are not tolerant, you are already a fallen soldier. If you are not tolerant, you will not go to your destiny will not be open. If you are not, because it is God that is asking us because He tolerates the world. The God we serve, who created you and I, so He is so tolerant. Look at the prodigal son, who squandered everything that the father, gave him. The father took him back. The father is not a fool. To tolerate does not mean that you are a fool. And most people misunderstand, this humble attitude of tolerating to foolishness or naivety. No, our world is full of such people who misinterpret tolerance. When you tolerate does not mean that you are a fool. But there are times that the one who tolerates can take an action to put you aside. There are days that you don't only tolerate to the end. You have to hit the table to say, this is the last time you are doing that. The one who tolerates has to speak out too, to clear your mind, because if you don't, you will not be able to stand. It may come to your throat and finish you. Tolerance is not an easy virtue to stand. If you tolerate, but you hit the hand on the wall, one day to tell the person who is, telling you off, and you put the person in his or her place to show that you know what you are doing. And so in this society, God tolerates us. If you tolerate, you will win. But if you don't, you may be able to find yourself in deep shit, and you will spend a lot of money in some kind of crisis that you can never ever make ends meet. So I thank God for those who, in fact, tolerate, and I pray that those who causing havoc in the society to make others suffer, they will pay for it in a very serious way, because God is a God of justice who created us. Even if we are talking about a society without touching God, we are all, even those who do not know God, they belong to God. And it's only a Christian virtue. Patience is not a societal virtue, but from God, a divine virtue. So we beg God to give all of us, who live in this world, the patience to support as He supports us.
Thank you so much, Father, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight.
I'm grateful, Anne, for this privilege.
Thank you once again, Reverend Father Christopher Gekum, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight. Just to remind our viewers that you are the youth chaplain of the Archdiocese of Douala and also the chaplain of Catholic women in the Archdiocese of Douala. And viewers, thank you so much for always according us your time. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.